Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're asking a big question. What if the old rules for building a business are, well, just wrong? We're going to dive into a brand new playbook, one that's been pieced together from hundreds of founders who are absolutely crushing it right now in 2026. So let's get right into it. I mean, think about that for a second. What if everything you've been told is a lie? It's a pretty provocative idea, right? But honestly, it's the core insight we're seeing from so many successful founders. You know the old business gospel I'm talking about? Rigid plans, gatekeepers you have to impress, massive upfront costs. It's not just outdated anymore, it's become a roadmap to failure. The game has totally changed. So what's replacing those old rules? Well, it's a whole new approach. It's faster, it's way more authentic, and it's absolutely obsessed with a specific niche. And to really get our heads around this shift, we're going to tear down 3 of the biggest business myths that are still holding people back. All right, first up, myth number 1, the idea of the perfect brand. You know this one. It's that feeling that you need this flawless, super rigid brand identity all locked in stone before you can even think about launching your business. And this right here really gets to the heart of the shift. The old way, the myth, was all about that dusty 100-page brand book filled with a million rules. But the reality now, for the companies that are really breaking through, it's something more alive. It's a flexible, organic identity that has a real personality. It's more like a character you get to know, not just some faceless corporation. A perfect example of this, Liquid Death. I mean, come on. They sell water, but they act like a heavy metal band. It's brilliant. And their VP of Creative, he says it perfectly. They don't think of themselves as a brand. They think of Liquid Death as a character, like someone out of a movie. And to pull this off, they just break all the old rules. They have no brand book. In fact, their creative lead literally threw it in the trash. They use 2 different logos, which in the old world of marketing is a total cardinal sin, right? So instead of flipping through some boring PDF for answers, their whole team just asks one simple question. What would Liquid Death do? That's it. That's the whole strategy. Okay, that brings us right to myth number 2, the big budget. This is that classic, nagging belief that you need this huge war chest of cash from venture capitalists just to get an idea off the ground. So the myth tells you, go impress investors, get a huge bankroll for ads and inventory. But the reality, the stories we hear from founder after founder, it's the complete opposite. Success today comes from starting small, with scrappy, really intelligent bets that prove your idea actually works before you even think about scaling up. So how much does it really take to get started? Like, really? Well, believe it or not, this number, that's how much it costs to launch the apparel brand True Classic. Just $3,000. That is it. And here's the breakdown of how they did it. About $1,000, $1,000, went into getting the product samples and the tech pack just right. And the other $2,000? That went straight into super targeted Facebook ads. The founder, he knew digital marketing. He'd spend $50, make $100 back, and just keep flipping that same money over and over to grow the business. No investor needed. And you see this same scrappy playbook with the skincare brand Jackson Lane. They didn't have some massive ad budget. Nope. Instead, they got clever. They used really smart, low-cost PR and started gifting their product to micro-influencers. And that approach, that's how their stuff ended up in the hands of Nick Jonas. I mean, you can't buy that kind of buzz. Okay, this brings us to our final myth. And honestly, this might be the most important one to bust. It's the myth of the distant customer. This is that old school corporate idea that your customer is just, a passive data point, a number on a spreadsheet. Yeah, the old playbook looked at customers as these abstract numbers that you just had to acquire. But the new playbook, it sees them as your most valuable partners. Seriously, they're co-creators who can and absolutely should have a direct say in your entire business strategy. You want to see this in action? Look no further than the founder of Copper Cow Coffee. She was seeing customers give her product a perfect score, a crazy high NPS score. But then she noticed they weren't buying it very often. So instead of just staring at the data, she did something that feels kind of radical these days. She picked up the phone and actually called them to ask why. And what she learned from those simple conversations was incredible. She discovered that people saw her unique pour-over coffee as a special occasion thing, a treat, not their everyday morning coffee. That one insight, that little nugget of feedback, led her to launch a whole new line of everyday ground coffee. And today, that product line, which was born directly from talking to customers, makes up 50% of her entire business. Just amazing. Okay, so let's recap. We've busted the myth of the perfect brand, the big budget, and the distant customer. So if those old rules are dead and gone, what does the new playbook, the winning playbook for 2026, actually look like? Well, it's pretty much a summary of everything we've just talked about. You build a character, not some sterile brand. You make scrappy, smart bets instead of waiting for a huge check. You treat your customers like they're co-founders. And then, and this is key, you amplify all of that with two massive forces: deep expertise in a specific niche and using AI as your co-pilot. And let's just double-click on that niche expertise part for a second, because the data here is crystal clear. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, the smart play is to build a business that solves a very specific, often expensive problem for a really dedicated audience. That's the sweet spot where your authenticity and your scrappy marketing come together, and you become the go-to trusted expert. This whole new approach basically turns building a business into a science lab. Seriously, forget the perfect 50-page business plan. You gotta think in terms of quick experiments. You can use free AI tools to launch a test brand for like $0. You can analyze why another company failed publicly and learn what not to do. It's all about constantly testing what works, even if that means pitting an AI bot against a human marketing agency to see who gets better results. So here's the bottom line. The path to building a successful business has been completely redrawn. It's more accessible, it's more creative, and it's more dynamic than it has ever been. The old playbook is dead. The new one is right here, in your hands. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?